Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. We have some breaking news coming out of Louisiana this afternoon as four-star tackle Bryson Cooley officially makes his commitment to the LSU Tigers as it seems like LSU frankly comes from behind to surge over Alabama to land Bryson Cooley's commitment, as Alabama did feel like kind of the team trending over the last couple of weeks. So at the end of the day, this has been something LSU's been able to do pretty consistently, land these type of commits, especially at the offensive line position. And I think the way LSU's been able to stack offensive linemen class to class to class has allowed them to, again, sustain a really high level on the offensive line. And even when you lose four guys to the NFL, like LSU is going to in this 2026 or in the 2025 season coming up, you feel really good about where this LSU offensive line is going to be. And that has a ton to do with what they've been able to do on the trail, but also being able to develop at a high level and retain their guys. So this type of class, again, has kind of laid the foundation for this Brian Kelly program, I'd say. And a lot of it had a lot to do with the success probably LSU's had on the offensive side of the ball. So it's good to see this trend continuing, because I do think it's a big part of what Brian Kelly's been able to build with this LSU program. So before we get too deep into Bryson Cooley and kind of where he fits in with this offensive line class and maybe what he'll bring to this LSU program, just wanted to thank all the LSU fans for all the support. It's been a blast covering this team, not only on the recruiting trail, but also in what they've done in the season. And this is going to be a fun one, I think. I think a lot of people look, this LSU team does feel pretty primed to have a good year with that defense kind of catching up, probably fair to say, to where this offense should be. So again, if you do enjoy the content, please consider subscribing. We'll be talking a ton of LSU football coming up, both on the field and on the recruiting trail. So again, we just really do appreciate all the support. So without further ado, getting into Bryson Cooley, I think this is kind of an interesting conversation in terms of where does he slot in this like three-man blue chip tackle rotation that LSU is bringing in this 2026 cycle. And I think Bryson Martinez, to me, feels like the real high upside prospect, and that maybe is reflected in the rankings. But I look at Bryson Cooley as probably the guy who, if I had to play one of them tomorrow at the college level, I think Bryson Cooley, to me, I'd have the most comfort with. And it really does start with, really polished run blocker. And I kind of wish we got to see more from him in terms of his high school tape as a pass blocker. It did feel like that team that he played for liked to run the ball a lot. And that's where he shines. I mean, you look at the way he plays with really good leverage for a guy who's 6'6", really flexible, can get himself down, has the athleticism to play both in space, but also explode off the line of scrimmage in a way I feel like some of those bigger tackles struggle to do. So I think Bryson Cooley, you'd feel pretty comfortable starting early, especially probably at one of the guard spots, because you look at how he can play in the run and be explosive and move guys around. I think that's probably his biggest asset right now in terms of what he can be. But that's not to say he doesn't have the physical traits to be a really good offensive tackle. Like, I don't know that he has like the length and athleticism maybe that Bryson Martinez could potentially have if he continues to develop, put a little bit of strength on it, and kind of refine his game. But Bryson Cooley, he's 6'6", he moves really well. I think he's got adequate length to be a really effective tackle. So I'm kind of interested to see how this group shakes out a little bit, with Emmanuel Tucker kind of rounding it out as another guy who probably not going to be an early contributor in his career to LSU, but certainly a guy, as he gets his body right, has a really high ceiling in his own right. So I think this is a really good class in terms of a mix of, again, a Bryson Cooley who can probably play pretty early, but also having some developmental tackles in Bryson Martinez and Emmanuel Tucker, who, should they reach their kind of ultimate talent floors, talent ceilings, let's say, those two guys, to me, have very much NFL potential. And Bryson Martinez might have like first-round potential, because he's got a really strong, unique skill set that he has at his disposal, just has a little bit more polish maybe to add to his game. But and again, you feel really comfortable right now. I know LSU is still going to really battle hard for Darius Gray, and I am not going to count out the LSU Tigers for his commitment, because why would you? LSU's been able to be a tough team at pretty much every position, but especially in the offensive line group. So that's going to be a battle to watch. If they don't land Darius Gray, I don't think it's panic time. I think you have a really strong class coming in either way. But Darius Gray would certainly be a little bit of a cherry on top, let's say. So I think now the big conversation you get to is that defensive line. And it's all eyes on Lamar Brown, I would imagine. It's an in-state kid at a position that LSU's clearly made a push to really get better at. And you look at what they've been able to add in the portal, but also what they've been able to add through the high school ranks, especially in that 2024 class. This is a position that no doubt Brian Kelly knows has probably held this team back a little bit. And if he can bring in Richard Anderson and Lamar Brown as like the two headliners of this defensive tackle class, I mean, that'd be that to me would feel like a bit of a program changer, then you really have that defensive tackle room in that pipeline stacked in the way I think you frankly wish LSU had it stacked maybe a little earlier in Brian Kelly's tenure. So again, in-state kid, LSU, at least from what I'm hearing and kind of the tea leaves I'm reading, still kind of seems like the leader. But that to me is a huge, huge battle because I look at some of the other positions where you don't have guys committed maybe. Running back is one. You brought in two excellent running backs last year in the 25 class. That doesn't feel like a position group that you need to bring in a high quality blue chip kind of prospect. And I presume LSU will bring in somebody in this class. Again, I don't have any inside info on that, but it certainly wouldn't surprise me. But it's not a position that you need to bring in a Lamar Brown or Tristan Keys or Bryson Martinez type guy, at least in this class, just because of what you did in the 2025 cycle. And then the other one is linebacker to me on the defensive side of the ball. Another position group that, again, you miss out on J.J. Bush. I don't know that LSU is super desperate to land a linebacker for a similar reason. They brought in 3 blue chip linebackers in the 2025 class. So this is to me, this hot board it's getting pretty full. I think, again, probably 2 to 3 more guys in the defensive line, maybe another guy in that edge group. But Lamar Brown, he's the key to this class. If LSU can close on him, I think you feel really good about where this class is going to end up. And then at the end of the day, 2027, the buck kind of stops there, I feel like, almost for LSU at the quarterback spot. 2 straight years now, missing out on top targets. And again, it's like LSU's taking huge, huge swings at like really kind of preeminent guys. But 2027, I really do think will be an important year to take a swing, but also get the hit this time because you do need to fill that quarterback pipeline up a little bit. But at the end of the day, this is another really strong class that LSU is putting together. Ton of blue chip guys who are like the creme de la creme of their position groups, guys like Tristan Keys, Havon Finney, Richard Anderson, Trenton Henderson, and potentially Lamar Brown. So again, it is kind of business as usual. LSU's been a recruiting power really since Brian Kelly's taken over, and it doesn't feel like it's really stopping in this class. But there's a couple battles I'd say that are left for this LSU team to win, and it really does start with Lamar Brown. So that's probably the one everyone's going to be looking at. If they hit on him, I think you feel really good about the future of this program. Or not, you feel really good either way, but you feel like Lamar Brown, he's a game changer to me. So be interested to hear what the LSU fans think, maybe where else you guys think LSU should be looking in this class. But I kind of look, this is a pretty complete class when you take the 2025 cycle and kind of into consideration. So again, Lamar Brown's kind of the guy I'm looking at. Be interesting to see when he makes his decision what kind of shakes out there. But this LSU team, they've been a force on the trail. They're a force on the trail in 2026, and I'm sure they will continue to have success as long as Brian Kelly sticks with this program and they can have a good 2025 season. So we'll cut it off there, and we'll talk to you guys later. Thank you for tuning in.